In the previous, or I should say current version of the Kevin Bacon site, the designer decided what the overall width was of the site, and that's 800 pixels. But now we're in charge of making this responsive. So we can't use pixels anymore because that will give us that horizontal scroll bar that we don't want. So our first job is how big is the overall size of the page going to be? And usually you'll do this in percentage points. It could be 100. If it's 100% of the page instead of 800 pixels, then you won't have any gaps on the sides. This is what we would have. So 100% of the page is kind of like this. That would be the default. 90% would give you a little bit of space on the sides by default. Let's try a few things so you can see what would happen. So I'm going to head to the CSS file, which in this project is in the assets folder called styles.css. And I'm going to make my life easier by tapping Command F, Control F on Windows, and looking for the 800 number. So 800 is set on the content area. Is it set anywhere else? That may be the only place. This is a nice example. Oh, it's also on the UL. So we got it in two places, on the nav UL and on the content area. In these two places, we've got to pick something else. So instead of 800 pixels, I'm going to pick 100% of the width of the page, and then we'll tweak it to see if we don't like it. Here's the other one, 100%. Then I'm going to save and refresh. Oh, I changed the folder name. Okay, so now you can see what it looks like if we're at 100 pixels. So no matter how big we are, we're at, this is going to be 100% of the width of the page. Okay, I don't mind it, so I think I'm going to leave it for now, and later we can tweak that number. Now, here is the key with adding percentages instead of using pixels. I've got to remember what this was. If I think I might forget while I'm doing millions of conversions into percentages, I might just put 800 pixels in a comment here to just remind myself. Now, every time I've used pixels for width, here in main, here in aside, I need to switch myself from using pixels to using percentages. So let's pull out our trusty calculator and do 480 divided by 800 times 100 gives us a percentage, 60%. Yeah, right. I kind of vaguely remember that week when I was saying that it's often a 60-40 split. So that's not total surprise, 60%. This was a 60-40 split, so I'm just going to put the 60-40 in right here. Now watch this magic. Save and refresh. Haha! As I resize my 60 and 40%, my content resizes. So this is exciting. It's not perfect, like I'm getting into some hurt here, but that's not bad. It's definitely a better experience than I had. I'm not getting that horizontal scroll bar anymore. In the next video, we'll apply this to margins and padding also.